Good morning. I think we're live. We are going. TGIF, everybody. Thanks for joining the live stream. It's Friday, which is always good. I'm in a good mood today. It's Friday. Can't be in a bad mood. I've got a ton of work today to do later on because I just wanted to mention that we had a notice from Hydro that the Hydro will be going out today. They're doing some work down the street. So if the stream for some reason goes blank, it's not supposed to go off until 9 o'clock. Let's see if they cut the power right at 9 o'clock. Well, so if we go black, that's what's happened. Nothing's wrong with the stream, but we'll hopefully be wrapped up by 9 o'clock. So we go live Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Pacific time to 8:45. If you're catching this on the replay, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. If you want to join us live, you know how to find us. If not, it's always on the replay on the channel. So let's see who's here. The coffee crew. I've got my coffee. Good morning to who is here. Let's see. Chat's rolling in already, which is great. Candace, first one in. I was waiting, Candace, for your pun joke of the day. I actually went on to ChatGPT just before going live here, and it was not where it was overloaded, so I couldn't get a pun joke. So you didn't disappoint. Why does the financial advisor break up with his girlfriend? He said she didn't have enough growth potential. You could almost flip that. Boyfriend might be more. But anyways, that's a good one. And Abigail is here. Good morning, Abigail. Nice to have you here. Good morning, everybody. Let's see who else is here. MC, morning. Missed you yesterday, MC, but welcome back. Thanks for joining today. Always good to have you here. Hopefully, if you didn't, obviously didn't catch us live, maybe you caught the replay. We'll see how it goes. And Nadia is here as well. TGIF indeed. It is. It's Good Friday, although it's kind of a lousy weather today. Yesterday was the last couple of days on the West Coast here. You can definitely call it the wet coast. It is tons of rain. So got out for a little bit. Had a friend in town, met for a coffee, but it was miserable. We were gonna go for a walk, but it didn't happen. But I've got my coffee here. Coffee's hot. Good day to stay inside, maybe. And Rod, good to have you back. Thanks for joining. Haven't seen you for a bit, so thank you. Welcome. We have a bit to talk about today. I've got actually seemed like not a big news day, but a fair amount of things happening in the news. So as always, if anybody has anything particular they want to bring up, any questions, comments, you know how to do the chat. It's always good. If you're new, don't be scared. It's always a good group of people here. If you have questions on certain things, if I can't answer, somebody probably in the chat will be able to steer you in the right direction. So a few articles we'll pick up today. One was actually, let's pull this up first. We'll skip around a little bit here. And let's take you down, and there we go. So this was actually kind of goes, Candace, with your video yesterday that you posted on the cage match between Bell, Rogers, Telus, and what was the other? Bell, Rogers, and Telus. Sorry, that's three. What am I thinking? I'm confused because of the possible buyout. Anyways, National Bank downgrading. They're downgrading their targets on all of the telecom, but it was actually interesting. You can kind of grab this. This is on Yahoo Finance, but downgrade of basically all of them. Bell, BCE going down $63 per share. Now also too, what was the good news is it mentioned Telus to go here to still maintaining Telus as outperform stock rating. But lowered the 12-month price target on Telus shares to $31 from $34. So outperform. On that note on Telus is I actually purchased a bit of Telus, and I have to find it. I thought I saved my tab, but anyways, I didn't save the tab. I put that over on my community tab this morning. I did a small deposit into my TFSA, partly because the next article will pick up, but put a little bit that I had left over into fractional share of Telus. So added a little bit to that one. Probably worked out to about half a share, just under half a share by the time it will all go through. So a little bit of purchase, just put in $100. But what I actually purchased, we'll bring this back. I always share it on my community tab for everybody to see. But you always get the sneak peek if you're on the live stream as well. So Brian, good morning. Made it all. Welcome. Well, it was good to have you here. Happy Friday. TGIF edition. But I did purchase, I always have so many tabs open on my computer. I have to get better at that. Let's share this one. So today, big kind of news: Tesla slashing prices. So if you're looking to get if you're looking to get a new Tesla today might be the kind of day to look. Prices are down about 20% across the board. And I did a bit of reading on some of the blogs in Canada. They translate to Canadian dollars up to around, I think, about 18%. It just depends on the model, but they basically cut the prices. Last week they cut prices in China, and there's a big uproar about that. Some of the things, but they've cut prices now across the U.S., Canada, and major European markets. Basically, it's effort to stroke some demand. Obviously, after several quarters, they've been slowing, I guess, down their deliveries. But the interesting part is there were some things with one of the Tesla models where it didn't quite qualify in the States for a certain rebate. So with the price changes, they will all kind of fall into this categories for rebates. So if you're looking for a Tesla, they're on sale today. The market at the beginning of the day, and this is kind of why I picked up a few shares of Telus. Obviously, the market doesn't like that, but if I took it as basically some opportunity to pick up a few shares of my tongue tied here, Telus on I think a bit of a discount for the day at least, and actually looking into it now, it's kind of come back up a little bit. We started off I think fully in the market, obviously in the red. It was looking kind of like an ugly day, but it seemed to be kind of coming back. So purchase some Telus and Tesla. If anybody bought anything today, let me know. It's always interesting to hear what people did. I just kind of took it. I think we had a good kind of run up this past week, so I just took it as a bit of an opportunity with the day that was a bit of red to add to those and lower my average cost, because Tesla is something I think will be a good pickup in the future. MC, good comment there. I'll have to check out that comment in Forbes about Tesla's brand weakening, something to watch for. Yeah, interesting. Although I think what they're trying to do is obviously if they can keep pushing out cars, it's it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It's one of those things that the thing with Tesla too, like the way their cars are built with full self-driving, there's opportunity, not just obviously. This is what car manufacturers seem to start to be doing. It's almost like a subscription model. You know what I mean? So as you get new features, you pay for them, and you download them through the air, or add features to range and that kind of stuff as software, which is very interesting. So maybe there's some opportunity down the road for Tesla, obviously, to make revenue on certain things as well for the cars. And that's what you've been doing, I think, MC. You've been moving some of your stuff over to XEQT. I think you mentioned that before. So you're kind of slowly doing that. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. BEQT over to XEQT. XEQT is always one of the popular ones on the channel. Zach hasn't been on. Zach's the big XEQT fan. Hasn't been on for a bit, but he'll be happy with seeing you do that. In terms of moving my portfolio around, it was interesting. I had a email yesterday from Wealthsimple, actually, of all places, because you always have those advisors kind of coming in there, and the timing was kind of weird because I was into my Wealthsimple web app because I have my other my RSP and stuff there, and I was just clicking through, figuring out what I'm going to be doing because I have to do an RSP. I have to do an RSP transfer before obviously the expiry for the year, and I started to fill out the form about contact me for a evaluation kind of thing, and it was just funny. And then of course you get the email from somebody there who I've talked to before, the same person that I talked to with the venture fund, and they're offering now. I don't know if anybody else got this, but they're going to be starting to offer a more high interest savings account at Wealthsimple. I don't know all the details of that. They're save only it pays 1.5%, but they have something coming up, and they did mention it in the email about a savings account, and it must be probably tied to, I guess, I'm going to guess it's kind of tied to PSA because the returns are very similar to that. So I'm going to find out some more information on that. So whether they're having some other accounts for certain people. I have no idea, but I might be moving some stuff around. Where? Just to put into savings. Just that made me think of that, MC, with your comment on moving some stuff, moving some of your holdings around. So we'll see what happens. Instead of probably putting stuff maybe into my RSP, I might just put it into, if I can get it into that cash account for the time being, just to see what happens. Anyways, that's where I was kind of looking with some rebalancing of stuff. So we'll see. Hunter, good to have you back. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yeah, premium consumer brands, they rely heavily on on brand. Like Apple's one of them too, right? And Tesla is kind of the first kind of like sort of cultish car manufacturer. Would have the same. I would put them in the same kind of category as like Apple. Obviously, the CEOs play a big part of that, I think, too. Elon is Elon. Apple brand, I mean, obviously was back in the past. I mean, Apple definitely has a brand, but it might have had a more cult following a little bit when Steve Jobs was still alive and running the company. I don't know. Tim Cook doesn't have the same, it's not the same charisma as Steve Jobs was, but the brand still has the cult following for sure, right? Although that's kind of maybe changed a little bit. I mean, obviously there's always the fans that will line up for the brand new iPhone or something like that, but not maybe as much as you would see before. But it's they have to be careful. I mean, the one thing I do notice about Tesla, I don't know why, but I mean, I was out yesterday. Just think of this. I mean, I was out yesterday for coffee, and I parked in the parking lot, and it was such a miserable day. There was maybe 10 cars in the parking lot, and as I was walking in, 4 of them were Teslas. So it's like you just notice. Maybe I'm noticing them more because I started investing in the company, but you kind of do see them everywhere. So they do have a really good, at least, brand recognition. So we'll see how that if that can carry through. It's always interesting. I own Tesla, but I don't own a Tesla. Even at 20% off, they're too expensive. I don't see the point in spending that much on a car. But obviously, as we're seeing, right, disinflation, right? You can count on that. I mean, there's a good chance the prices will continue to drop in the EV market, and that's probably a good thing, I guess, if we get more of them out there. I could see probably my next car when down the road being electric. It wouldn't surprise me if it was hybrid, at least, for sure. By the time I have to buy a new car, or a new used car, or something like that. Excuse me. So we'll see what happens. On the thing on EVs, let's pull this one up. I found this article interesting as well. With Toyota, this is. I mean, Toyota is one of the companies that will definitely, I think, kind of give Tesla a run for the money. They've started. Toyota was one of the first cars, right? The Prius was one of the first electric cars, and the Prius. They have the Prius hybrids, are quite popular, still. And they did a thing. Toyota set site. This was interesting. They upgraded a couple models of their old cars into one of them into a battery electric vehicle, and the other into a hydrogen engine vehicle. So this was kind of which I found interesting, because in Japan, only 1 in about 20 cars on the road are new. Older ones are mainly powered by gasoline in Japan. So they're thinking of this is to possibly be able to retrofit older cars, older combustible engine cars into EV. And they plan to invest $70 billion to electrify its vehicles and produce more batteries, and aims to sell at least 3.5 million battery electric vehicles in 2030. So I did find that kind of interesting. If you have these old cars that you want to convert to EV, seems always interesting on there. So lots happening out there, that's for sure. Lots of news today. I've got more actually. Let's before we we'll check into the Coffee Crew watch list as well and see how that's doing today. But just one more article. as we've talked about before, let me pull this one up. And don't be afraid to fire in any questions, as always. And if anybody else has bought or sold anything, I guess today would be the fired in the comments. Other than MC, that was, I think, maybe it. People may be waiting to see what happens. But here we go. Let's pull this up. Home prices. First decline. First year-over-year decline since 2008. I was reading this. I couldn't believe it was actually that long since a year-over-year decline. I guess we had the drop. We did really have the drop in. I mean, this is Canada, right? So obviously, different markets in Canada are different. So there may have been some declines in different areas, Alberta or wherever, right? But in Canada, first decline since 2008. It was, which I found. I guess time flies, partly, but. The final quarter, they were down 2.8% compared with the end of 2021. So I think we're going to see more drops probably this year, as obviously rates don't show much sign of going down substantially anytime soon. I had a conversation yesterday with a friend talking about rates, and I think obviously we've talked about it on here, that I think the rates are going to be elevated like they are for a while. Obviously floating rates too is that, I mean, there was a bit of the drop off in 2020 for the beginning of 2020, obviously with what happened with COVID, but the housing shortly thereafter really just started to go crazy, and but prices are still above pre-pandemic levels. So still pricey out there if you want to own if you have a home to want to buy a home or have a home. Obviously still pricey. As the chat rolls in, we'll catch up with it. And Candice, QQCC, is that the, I got to search that out because I can never remember. What is QQC? Oh, is that the is that the reverse? I'm not sure. That's some NASDAQ, but I'm not sure what one that actually is. MC, yeah, we'll pull your upcoming. Yeah, they were right, because they were obviously futuristic. Relatively. They're still kind of, I think, cars are starting to really start to look a lot the same. That's the thing. But the Teslas do have a distinctive look across, for better or worse, across the model lines. They do look very similar, very, very similar. I couldn't, and they don't have of course they don't have any markings on them to differentiate the model numbers, right? So unless you kind of really know what you're looking at, it can be, between the X and the Y and the different models is sometimes hard to differentiate. It's what will happen. I mean, the big one with the big change in styling is obviously Cybertruck, right? And it's way out there. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out once it gets finally in production, which I think should be in 2023. They're saying, but of course they were saying 2022 as well. So, but they are much more normal. But I mean, it depends on what you're into for cars. I'm not really like a huge car person. So, even if a super fancy sports car drives by, I just kind of don't really. It's not my thing. Some people really like cars, so they would probably, know different things about it. But it's they still are nice. It's funny enough. I've never actually been into. I don't have anybody I know that. No, sorry, I have been in a Tesla. Someone that I used to work with this is years ago, was test driving a model. They didn't buy it. What was the one? It was a Model Y, I think it was. So I got to drive in that. It was nice. They're very plain, kind of plain, minimal inside. That's for sure. But it looked nice. Yeah, I saw that. I did watch some videos. It's funny, as I say, I'm not into cars. I do watch some videos sometimes on YouTube. There's a channel that I enjoy, actually. It's funny enough, on cars is Doug DeMuro's channel. He's got a great YouTube channel. I enjoy more seeing the features and stuff on cars than actually like getting into like the horsepower and all that kind of stuff. But I have seen the new 2023 Pierce looks good. That's the thing. All these other manufacturers are creating definitely some competition. Toyota also, Kias and the Hyundais, they share the base, the whatever the frame, they share the base, frame kind of idea. I don't know what the name would be called, of a car architecture kind of thing as a model. So there's that. Those look nice actually too. I've seen a few of those, the Kia kind of SUV and the Hyundai SUV. There's also different ones coming out, like the VW is launching like a electric VW bus, which is kind of quirky and kind of different. So there's a lot coming out there. As manufacturers shift production, right, to more EV, there will be definitely more competition for Tesla, and I guess that's maybe partly why they're lowering price to get the models out there before there's too much competition. Horizon's Nasdaq 100 covered call ETF. There you go. It was QQCC. Good call. Yeah, Hyundai has they do have the Genesis model. That's like their high end, more like luxury styling of lineup. I've seen a few of those. I don't think I've actually necessarily seen one. If there's been one on the road driving by me, I haven't noticed it. But I have seen some of those online. I always kind of look every once in a while because what happens is, because my car is basically, I keep mentioning my car payment, but it's basically less than a month away, about a month, and I always kind of sometimes go online to go look at new cars and new whatever, and I start looking at stuff and pricing them out. Then I just literally close the page and go, that's not going to happen, because I was reading actually an article, and I should have saved it up as we get talking about cars, and the average car payment is just jumped up substantially, and people are, I don't know, I just think people spend too much money on cars. Payments, I think, close to, like, you see car payments like close to $1,000 a month, and that's not even including insurance, gas, maintenance, anything like that to run the car. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather have a car payment that's more manageable and put the rest into my TFSA, or even better, not have a car payment, instead of buying a brand new car with a lot of times the loans, depending on, it made sense necessarily when I bought mine. The interest rate on my car was back when they were like 0.99, so it's like you're barely paying any interest over the term, so you stretch out the payment as long as possible. But now, car payments are, I think interest rates are like up close to like 7-ish, I think, and you're getting a lease or a loan, and like paying that car payment. A lease payment, obviously you do a lease, it's 4 years, but then you don't own the car at the end, so you have to do something else in 4 years to get your payments continue. Or if you have a car loan, to keep the monthly payment down, you do it for what, 7 years now, and 7 years, 84 months or whatever they can be. I think they can even go up to 96 months. Some of the loans, it's not that great. Yeah, they are. Financing is not great, but, and it will curb, but it'll probably make people consider lesser expensive cars, right? So we always see probably more demand on the lower end models, and you never get as much discount on the lower end. Usually never as much discount, or there's always the supply demand for lower costs. When you go into haggle or whatever you have to do when you get a new car, it's always annoying, but it will. I think people will, but this is the thing, MC. What I know with people with financing cars is they don't necessarily pay attention to what the actual rate is on it. They pay attention. They buy the payment. they're not necessarily considering what the amount of interest is being paid over the terms. Um, so yeah, it used to be free. It would get worked in somehow. Obviously, somehow they're making money, whether it's cross selling something or whatever. I mean, my car loan was it was one like 0.99%, but it was but it's done through Scotiabank. Um, so there's obviously making some money there somehow, in the end, with whatever. But whether they cross sell me, trying to get me accounts and stuff at Scotiabank eventually, that kind of thing. But it's now, yeah, now financing is way higher. But people buy the people buy the payment, not the rate with cars. They kind of figure that out, which is kind of, and but you just don't need a new car all the time. I mean, you see people, I don't know, you see people driving cars don't really, they're not my thing, right? So I could care less if someone's driving down the street in a junker, because if it means you're driving down the street in a 8-year-old car that's still fine, you probably have more money in the bank than the person just financed a new lease on something, right? That's just the way it kind of works. You can't the a lot of the it's the big joke on a lot of like the Reddit forums and the personal finance, websites and blogs is, if you want to get a car and you want to, all the smart investors just buy Toyota Corollas, because they're one of the cheapest decent cars to buy, and you don't waste all your money and you can invest more on it. That's kind of what I plan to do. My car, we've talked about it before. I'll drive that thing till it won't take me anymore. Just keep the maintenance up, keep the oil change, do the regular maintenance, and I don't drive that much anyways, so it gets me from point A to point B, and it's still in fine shape. That's the thing with newer cars. You can't really go wrong with something that's less than 10 years. They all kind of look the same anyways. I find you don't necessarily need the latest and greatest. It's got everything I need. Yeah, it's the base beige or whatever color is the base color now, white or whatever, millionaire next door style. It's true. If it works, it works. That's kind of the way it is. But I mean, I guess some people are into cars, but it's not my thing. Some people would probably, I guess my spending vice is cameras. So people would probably freak out if you tell them how much, like, the camera I'm filming this on costs. It's kind of silly when you think about it, but I use it, but that's kind of my thing as well. So you got to spend your money on something, but at least the camera, when it's paid for, it's paid for. I'm not having to finance it over 6, 7, 8 years on there. Let's pull up. Oh, my screen kind of froze here. Let's pull up we didn't pull up the coffee. This is the coffee chat watch list for people. So if anybody's watching and you're new to the channel, if there's any shares or stocks or ETFs that you want to follow, with obviously the people in the chat with their coffee crew come in for coffee. And if there's anything you wanted to see on the finance side to follow, we're kind of watching this. Actually, looks like we have actually almost all green today, which is decent. So that's always good. But if there's anything you wanted to add it on there, we don't really dive into talking too much about when to obviously buy and sell anything. But it's always fun to watch and see what people's things are doing. And obviously, if it's in the green, it's all good. And Candace, yeah, cameras are expensive. I can't actually remember the actual amount of it, but it was more than that. Yeah, which is crazy when you think about it. And it's not just the cameras, it's if you want to buy the lenses for it too, which are even sometimes more expensive than the camera. But you know what, it does good. I've had it for over 2 years now. I don't need to upgrade it. You buy a decent one, it lasts. It's like a car, right? You buy a decent one, it lasts you for a while. You don't need the latest thing. This is the one thing about camera gear. You don't need once you buy a decent camera body, you don't need the latest and greatest to upgrade all the time. Buying a more expensive camera won't make you take better pictures. As long as you have the features that you need and use. I use this for filming. The reason I bought it is I needed one that had a flip screen. This had it. This was a new one, had everything that I needed at the time, and it works. But no plans to buy the newest and latest and greatest model. That's by any means. There's already a new model out there, but it's not, no point. And okay, I have to read the rest of this, but MC, speaking of books, finished reading The Psychology of Money, one of the best written financial books out there, written by Morgan Housel. Many of his articles on Collab Fund site. Okay, I'm going to pull The Psychology of Money. I'm just going to pull this up. And we'll see what this looks like so people can... The Psychology of Money. There we go. Let me just share it so people can see the cover. There's the cover. Anyways, on Amazon. Oh, I've got a free ebook, audiobook. It looks like, for a free trial. I probably have to sign up and pay each month or something, but I'll check that one out. That's interesting. I've been actually I've been thinking of. I'm going to bookmark this because I've actually been thinking about in my video descriptions, because there's a few books that I've read as well, and I've thought about putting some links down in the description below to Amazon books, so people can actually pick up some of these books. I might add that one to the list as we go. And cameras, yes, they are. Lenses, yeah, lenses are, depends. I mean, yeah, it's you can go crazy either way. You can spend a fortune on lenses, depending. It just really depends. If you what you're into. There is a lens I'm wanting to purchase eventually, but it is far too expensive. I would rather I have to pay rent than pay for a camera lens. Eventually, though, saving up for it, but it takes a while. I'm gonna wait till it's new. So I'm gonna wait till it goes on sale. I can hold off for that, but I just have a couple lenses for this camera system. The camera that I use majority of my camera on my other channel, I have more of a compact camera, has a built-in lens that I use, and it works fine. It's my favorite little camera. So, but again, not cheap, unfortunately. Yes, if you have a flip screen, if you can't necessarily use the teleprompter, the only way to get around that, Candace, is if you were to use and get one of those external monitors that can go on the hot shoe or on the top of the camera to do a video out, and you can see it in your flip screen. But yeah, it's if you do the teleprompter, you don't see your face. And yeah, they do. If you get a high end stuff, my camera is MC. I have Fuji cameras, and the lenses that I have on there are it's a Fuji lens. That one of the ones just came with it. I do have another one, another prime lens, but I don't use it that often. So I use just the Fuji. The kit lens that came with it is actually a decent lens for filming. So I use that most of the time. And like I said, I have another camera that I use for my other channel that's fixed. It's a fixed lens on the camera. It's the Fuji compact camera. So I basically just use my main, my expensive camera is sitting on a tripod that's just filming all the time. I don't actually take, it's funny, I don't take a lot of pictures with it anymore since I've got my other one. But lenses are expensive, yes. Yeah, thanks, Brian. Always good. Yeah, I didn't mention that yet. Always hit as we're in here. If you're waiting around or coming on in, or leaving, hit the like button. It's always appreciated. I know I have the chat turned on to. You'll have to obviously be subscribed to chat, which is so I know people are commenting or subscribed. But if you're maybe just lurking and not chatting, maybe just check to see if you're subscribed as well. It's always appreciated. The more the merrier. Lots of subscribers on the channel front. Growing, actually got a few subscribers yesterday, so I think maybe that was the bump a little bit in the market a little bit, maybe bring some people along, but so that's kind of That's kind of the thing. I seem to get subscribers more when market days are green, the count goes up. When market days are red, they seem to drop off a little bit. But going slowly but surely, growing the channel, and the live streams are always a lot of fun to do. On the note on live streams, actually, I got to do a bit more traveling next week, back to see my mom again. So I'm gonna try and do the live streams on Monday, Tuesday, but we'll have to see. I'm going to bring my laptop there and the stuff I kind of need, but it might not be the best. I'm gonna try. That's all I'll put out there. That's the one thing about traveling a little bit. I've got my setup here. I'm kind of happy. I know what I'm doing. If I go somewhere else, I have to get into a more quiet space, that kind of stuff. So we'll see. No promises. If there is, if not, I get a few days off. That's okay. But I will still film. I have to film that today. Actually, I've got some updates to catch up on. I haven't. I have to do my portfolio update. I didn't get that done in midweek, just for reasons unknown. Just busy. Time flies. But I will get that done before the weekend. So there'll be something to watch at least, and I will have also the Wealthsimple Venture Fund update done at the same time. And so there'll be a couple videos to at least to watch. And I'll read the rest of the comment here, MC. So yeah, I've been reading that too. International markets have started the year with a heavy outperformance versus U.S. markets. Canada, right, is obviously seems to be doing well as well. Could be a sign of things to come. Money into value definitely would indicate this. So yeah, I've kind of been reading that a little bit too. From what I read, the TSX is supposed to outperform, I think, this year for 2023, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I don't have, obviously, that would be something for people to mention in the channel for what, my TFSA is obviously heavily weighted on Canadian equities, right? Canadian equities and Canadian companies. Other than my S&P, I have US is with the VFE, but I don't have anything in my self-managed TFSA in terms of international ETFs. So that might be something to look at. I do have international ETFs in my managed side of Wealthsimple, so it is covered there. And I should take a look and see. Actually, from what I've kind of gathered, they are actually doing decent, okay, actually, so far. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Good call, MC. Something we'll keep an eye on, I think, for sure, on how things are going throughout the year. I think we're still in for a bit of a challenging year. My mom to co-host, that could be interesting. I don't think so. Although she watches my other channel, because she's always asking me if I've been out taking pictures. So she does watch that, but she's never been on. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to get her on. That'd be funny. I don't think she's followed this channel. I don't think she's seen this. I've kept this one. I haven't shared this one on my other one because it's very unrelated. So I just kind of grow it. This one's just growing as it grows, not trying to leverage anything else anywhere else. Don't share it on anywhere. Just kind of do my thing and because I enjoy it really, and just see where things go. So I'll have to dig that up, MC. The chart showing long-term U.S. versus international equities is always an interesting one for reference. Okay, lots of charts. That would be a good one for Candace to do a deep dive. Could you do a face-off or a battle versus U.S. equities, U.S. equities versus international equities? I guess you could kind of get into that. Yeah, it's hard to know. That might be one. That might be one to go. Yeah, that would be the thing. Yeah, that's the one thing I know from it would for me it would when you're doing videos and you're going, like, if you're going on live stream or you're filming stuff for a regular update or whatever, you have your routine, and if someone else is there, it just kind of would throw you off. sometimes. You just so it's easier to do. It's easier just to stick to what you regularly do. Would be a lot easier, because I mean, I find for me, when I'm doing videos or going on live streams, you have a certain thing in your head, what you want to cover, and you kind of prepare for that ahead of time, and somebody else coming in and not disturbing you or interrupting, it throws everything off, unfortunately, for better or worse. But so, and you could maybe get your mom, Candace, for the banana bread. You could maybe get her to bake if she's a baker, maybe get her to bake a loaf of banana bread for you for a video. I don't know. And she could carry it in on a thing. That's good. I'm gonna check out that book though, MC. I've got that on my thing, and actually, it's not a bad deal. 21. When I do read, I don't have an e-reader. I like reading an actual book, so I will do that. Although I have a habit. This is what I have a habit with books with, is I have a habit of starting them. I get really into them, and then I stop. For some reason, I stop reading them. I don't know why, but I do that a lot. So I've got like a stack of books that I've like kind of started that I have to go back to and finish. And this would be the same. I would be like maybe I'm a little bit, maybe I'm a little bit like ADHD, like just get distracted on things maybe, but that's my habit with books. I'll read like half, and then I kind of just get out of it, and then I don't go back to it, unfortunately. Although I've read the book. There's one book I've read probably 4 or 5 times. It's the one that is I can't remember the name of it now. It was written by the author that he's got a few books. John Krakauer. He did Into Thin Air. That's what it was called. He's the same author that wrote that book Into the Wild, about the kid that went into Alaska. But he wrote a book on the disaster on Everest, and it's called Into Thin Air. It's a great book, actually, and I've read that book. I read that when I go camping or when I go on vacation. I'll always bring that book. It's in tatters, but I've read it 4 or 5 times, and every time I read it, I read it from start to finish. Which is odd for me. So you do audiobooks, yeah? Let us know, everybody. What do you read book, or do you prefer to listen to audiobooks when you buy stuff? I prefer to read them, MC, partly because if I'm in the car, I usually just have the radio off. I don't really have it on. I like to kind of have my thoughts to myself, I guess. I'll put the radio on music if it's like a long road trip or something like that, but not an audiobook. I do listen to like audio podcasts on my phone, so I'll plug in my headphones at night or something to listen to a podcast, but I've never actually done it with a book, because what I find I do is I will ultimately fall asleep. I guess that's not good or bad, but it's if I'm listening to a book, of course you have to figure out where you left off, figure out where you so that's why I don't listen to audiobooks. Because if I listen to a podcast or watch a podcast, I can kind of have it on my phone and kind of have my headphones, and it keeps me listening, but also seeing the video, watching the video keeps me engaged a bit more. Whereas if it's just audio, I kind of always seem to just stop paying attention a little bit. Just not as engaged to it. That's just me though. Yeah, it would be. I have no desire. It's funny. I've read the book so many times. I have no desire, like, ever to want to even attempt to even think about climbing that. I think that's. I mean, I get why people do it, but it's not for me. I wouldn't make it 2 steps. But I have. I mean, I'm big into hiking and camping. I think the trek to go, like some of the treks in Nepal, would be amazing to do. That's like a bucket list for me. I think one day I will maybe get there to maybe at least see it, right? Or somewhere like that. But no, not the climb. not my thing. There's actually a good documentary on Netflix called 14 Peaks, if you have Netflix to watch, and it's about a Nepalese climber that climbed all of the 14 highest peaks in like record time. He did it in less than I think he did it in like 7 months or something like that. Like he would just go to mountain to mountain to mountain to climb these things, and it was like the world record for like it would normally take someone. In the past, the last person that did it was a famous climber. It took him like 16 years or something to be able to do this. And him and his team of climbers did it in like 7 months, in less than a year, which is crazy. And it was kind of the part of the documentary is about how there wasn't a lot of press about it because he wasn't American, basically. So yeah, that's just exactly what it is. People go up, and it's too dangerous to try and bring them down or help them down, unfortunately. So they're left there, yeah, and kind of there forever. Yeah, kind of creepy at the same time. But there's some good documentaries on it as we go. Anyways, well, there we go. It is Q2. I do, like I said in before, I think the power is going to go out here pretty soon. They say 9 o'clock from hydro, so I'm going to assume it's probably going to be right on the button. So I should probably start to wrap things up so I can catch on a little bit of work before I don't have computers. But Free Solo, yes, it is very good. That was a good documentary as well. That's crazy as well. So. And I do have a habit. Yeah, I bump it. I talk with my hands, Justin, and if I have to get used to where I put it out of the way, so I don't bump it, because I like to move around. I move around. I have to like sit still, not move my hands as much. But if I have that habit, I don't think I'm going to break it now. Anyways, I should get going. I have some emails here to check out with work. And obviously with the power going out, I don't want to leave everybody in the dark. Bye, thanks. So happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully we have a good finish to the rest of the day on the market. I do really appreciate everybody joining on. It means a lot to me if you're watching on the live stream or in the replay. Do really appreciate it, helping out the channel. On your way out, don't forget, if you haven't given us a like yet, always helps the channel out. And I always ask if you know someone, a friend, someone in your family that might enjoy the channel, shoot the link or a link to one of the videos, and have them give it a watch. It would be the more the merrier. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a good rest of the week and a good weekend. We'll catch you hopefully on Monday. No promises, but if there's anything scheduled, I will get that up onto the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you in the next one.